really locked in with my OG. I said, nah, I'm really turned up with my brody. I said, yeah, I'm really locked in. I said, with my brody. BuckMoney, yeah. I said, nigga, no little man really grown me. I said, really growing up. I said, really Timothy. I said, yeah. I said, Buck. I said, really, yeah. BuckMoney. I said, fuck it, let them niggas know your name, Buck. Fuck it, you out here. I said, open, yeah, Buck. I said, yeah. I said, turned up with your people, yeah. I said, yeah. Me and Brody really fussing. Nah, play that back. Banana cream, I said, nigga, boss leaves. I said, nigga, yeah. BuckMoney, yeah, nigga, me and Brody really facing boss leaves. I said, nigga, banana cream. I said, nigga, leaves. Yeah, Buck, I got a snake connected with my OG. I said, yeah, snake connected. I said, with my bro. I said, yeah, BuckMoney, yeah, I love snake connected. I said, with my bro. I said, yeah, bro, BuckMoney, yeah, Buck leaves. Yeah, I got a hat on my head. Damn, I got a hat on my head, but it ain't no capping me, BuckMoney, I got a hat on my head, but it ain't no capping me, BuckMoney, I said, I'm really locked in. I said, with my OG. I said, BuckMoney. I said, I'm really locked in. I said, with my OG. I said, I'm really locked in. I said, with my brody. I said, yeah, I'm locked in. I said, I'm really locked in. I said, I'm really locked in. I said, I'm really